Daf Ayin Vav, the Ilui Nishmas Yitzchak ben Avram. This daf discusses mainly Reb Shimon's opinion where the thief consecrated the animal before the slaughter. The Tana Kama holds he pays the double payment but not the 4 or 5. Reb Shimon says it depends on whether he is responsible for the animal if something happens to it before it is brought as a sacrifice or not. So that's the machlokas between the Tana Kama and Rabbi Shimon. Again, the Tana Kama holds that he pays the double payment, but not the 4 or 5. Rabbi Shimon holds he could pay the 4 or 5 if he's responsible for the animal. The Gemara asks, why consecration is not similar to selling, that he would pay the 4 or 5? The Gemara answers that a sale changes the name of the owner, whereas in the case of consecration, it is still the offering of the consecrator, even though it is now in the possession of Hegdish. The Gemara does not understand, according to Reb Shimon, the opposite of the Mishnah should be true. If he is responsible for the animal, in other words, for example, he said, Hare Olai Ola, which means if something happens to the animal, he has to replace it, then he should be exempt, since it is still his and does not constitute a sale to Hegdish. Reb Shimon is teaching that even though one steals Hegdish from the owner, he is exempt because it says, V'gunav mi beis ha'ish v'lo me hegdish. However, if he is responsible to replace it, it is considered v'gunav mi beis ha'ish. So really, Rabbi Shimon is teaching us something else. We consider it a theft, even something consecrated, we consider it stolen from the owner if the owner is responsible for it, based on the principle, Davar agorem l'mamon, according to Rabbi Shimon, he holds a shchita she'ena re'uya, ain't a shchita. If the shchita doesn't matter the animal for some use, then it's not legally a slaughter. The thief slaughtered Hegdish outside the temple, and therefore the animal is asur b'hana. So how can we make him responsible to pay the 4 or 5 if he slaughtered something which is not legally an act of slaughter? There's no tficha. Rabbi Yochanan answers, according to one opinion, he slaughtered it in the temple for the owner, but the blood spilled. Since it became invalid, it is not considered returned to the owner. But in fact, it was a good shchita because he slaughtered a unblemished animal in the temple. According to another opinion, he slaughtered it not for the owner, and the rule is, if one slaughters an animal other than the korban pesach or a korban chatas, not for the owner, korban is still a kosher korban. It just does not work on behalf of the owner. The owner has to bring another. So therefore here, since he slaughtered the animal not for the owner, it's still a good slaughter, and therefore he'd be chayiv to pay the 4 and 5, since he didn't bring it on behalf of the owner. Reish Lakish, on the other hand, explains that the animal was blemished and slaughtered outside the temple, which is perfectly permissible. Still, the Gemara asks, according to Rabbi Yochanan, it is not the shechita that permits the animal, it is the blood service in the case of a kosher korban. By the same token, according to Reish Lakish, it is not the shechita that permits a blemished animal, it is the redemption of that animal. So how can we say that this is a shechita re'uya? We have to answer, according to Rabbi Shimon, 2 klalim. Kol ha'omed lizrok k'zoruk dami, kol ha'omed livdos k'padli dami. Any blood that stands to be thrown, or any animal that stands to be redeemed, is considered both as if sprinkled or redeemed.